What's Dewey?
It's the base.
LOSO underscore G.
DK, the engineer.
It's your boy, Letter After T, B4V. You go, boy.
It's the base.
Run down.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
So, according to U.S. public health officials, vaccine could be coming as soon as late November. So, CDC is telling states to prep for COVID vaccine distribution.
I'm taking it.
Which is interesting. So, I don't think they disclosed what companies in particular, but they at least two companies have a vaccine on the horizon. Pfizer, which is like one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world, on Thursday said it would know by the end of October whether a COVID-19 vaccine is developing with German partner BioNTech SE is safe and effective. This is kind of the story with multiple pharmaceutical companies. So it's kind of opaque what's actually happening, but the government has already poured billions, throw billions in the way of pharmaceutical companies to help sort this out. So that's interesting.
I'm curious about there's always this talk about having a vaccine around the election, like the scenario that would happen if we get a vaccine before the election, and the scenario that would happen that could come out after the election. Does that shit really matter? Like, if say we were to have a vaccine before the election, do you guys think that would sway the direction the election could go? Because I get the impression that people think that would heavily influence it, and I'm not 100% sure why. Would it be like, oh, Trump did a good job, or would it be that just people are going to be able to vote and then it would go the opposite direction?
Depends on the narrative. It depends who captures the narrative and what resonates with people the most. Like you said, it could easily be that the Trump administration touts this as a success story, or it can go with the opposition. It just depends. There's no way of telling. I don't know. I wouldn't know.
I think at the end of the day, it's going to still come down to the swing states. You know what I mean? So really, I don't
as
think,
usual,
hence the name.
Just campaign in Ohio and fucking Wisconsin
exactly.
and Florida. Ignore everything else.
Pretty much. I don't think whoever's plants their flag with their party and say, hey, we got the vaccine. I don't think that's going to be a major factor into who gets critical states and electoral votes at the end of the day. So I don't think from an election standpoint, if it would affect anybody, it would be the incumbent, because all of this happened on his watch anyway. So it'd be a situation of, does this help or hurt Trump? In my opinion, but if you were to ask me right now, if it would directly affect the campaign, affect election day, I don't think so.
I think people are pretty entrenched. So I think, I don't know. I think a lot of people are already kind of iffy on any vaccine anyway. So, it's hard to tell. I don't know. But, yeah, it's just one of those things.
Yeah, we're on the topic of waiting for vaccines. We're going to have a lot more of these long haulers.
Yeah,
long COVID people. If we don't figure some shit out soon,
right?
Yeah. So
this is wonky.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, this story was wonky. I think this is yours, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Wow.
Just do your thing.
Wonky. This is yours, right?
Wonky. That's my favorite word. Go ahead, Eddie. Go ahead.
Yeah. So it conveys a lot of information. It's all over the place, but the basic idea is that the effects of COVID isn't just people dying or the immediate effects. It's the long-term effects. People who have gotten COVID-19 are still suffering respiratory issues and could also complicate other issues, such as heart problems. And, there's so many unknowns about it. People who have caught COVID, who are technically past the disease, are still experiencing breathlessness, memory loss, fatigue, headaches, brain fog, muscle pain, swelling joints, among other symptoms. So yeah, it's crazy. It's interesting.
It's like 10% of people will continue with symptoms after 3 weeks, and 5% continue to remain sick for months, son. And it's crazy. We're just at the beginning, right? We only have like 8 months with this disease, with this virus, and shit like that. Like that's the whole thing that we've brought up a whole bunch of times that I keep trying to emphasize about like opening up fucking schools, bro. Like this bad fucking idea. But
so many unknowns.
You know how
yep, but we know
that shit. Like their bodies,
yep.
body wise.
But we know if COVID ain't, my fault, you were saying?
No, I said yeah, you're right. Permanent damage, but go ahead.
Louis, how you feel about it? Because you're going to be in the trenches. Like, how do you feel about it?
I'm scared as fuck, bro. Because what if the way I react to it, I start fucking bouncing.
like
oh wow,
like total recall when Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh yeah,
fucking rabies.
Oh, the lady like. Oh my god. Yo, he thinks the kid's gonna sneeze on him, and then he's gonna have a seizure. Oh my god.
Fab, you saw Total Recall, right? Like the old one with
Yeah.
Wait, there was a new one? What the fuck?
There was a I didn't watch the reboot.
What's the guy's name? He dated a black girl and then he thinks he's cool.
I forgot his name, bro.
I forgot his name too.
Damn. Was the remake good?
I didn't know. I didn't watch it.
Because the old one was.
I heard they redid
the old one
titties,
was good because it was so fucking like it was entertaining. It was so fucking goofy, but it was like self-aware. It was like goofy in a good way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Free titties, bro.
That's facts. Yeah. Well, Los, we know that if COVID doesn't kill you, the surging crime in New York City will.
Oh wait, hold on.
Segway God.
But yeah, shootings are up for August 166% relative to the same time 2019. There were 242 shooting incidents in the city, which is crazy by the end of August. All types of crime are up. Burglaries are up.
Burglaries are up 22%. Murders, my man, are 47%.
Yeah. Rapes are decreased by 22%, but NYPD suspects that just a lot of people aren't reporting rapes, so they don't really predict the decline in that. So it's just crazy, and it's like you mentioned before, DK. It's like, what do you expect? A lot of people will try to say, the NYPD claims that it's because there's 2,000 less officers on the street.
That sounds like reaching. It could be right. It could be true.
And then other people, and then you have lawmakers and people on the other side. They're claiming that the NYPD is intentionally sort of easing up the pressure just to show that this is what happens when you defund the police. I think probably it's just because a lot of people are out of work, a lot of people are at risk getting kicked out, and we all know that all this crime stems primarily from economic issues, socioeconomic problems. So when shit hits the fan, it usually hits the hood first. Like that's just what it is. And everything else may exacerbate it a little bit, but I think that's the primary issue. That's it. Because, police presence, whatever, if people have jobs, if people are fairly prosperous, you really don't have crime. So, that's just it.
There's just so many layers to this pandemic. Like there's so many aftershocks from it, right? Like, yeah, you got all these people out of work. You got all these people who are losing their homes. And again, like we mentioned earlier in the show, like what do you expect for these people to do? I mean, they're worried about their next meal and they're worried about where they're going to sleep. So like they're not just gonna roll over and just walk through the streets. Like, bro, they're gonna do whatever they can if they've got like 2 or 3 kids or and a pregnant wife, at home. Like, shit, you got to do what you got to do. So I anticipate, especially in more densely populated cities like New York, I expect more of this. And when you got the Senate and the House on vacation, what do you expect?
Yep. Just remember, in The Walking Dead, the zombies aren't the most dangerous things out there. It's other fucking people. Well, then, I guess while we're on the topic of the U.S. doing more reaching and shit, reaching like motherfuckers.
That was a reach segue. Yeah, so if you don't know who Eric Snowden is, he was a contractor. I believe he was a NSA contractor who leaked a domestic eavesdropping operation by the NSA. So the NSA, National Security Agency, they're responsible for gathering intelligence, essentially to help neutralize threats against the U.S. They gather intelligence, and it's well known that they have an international surveillance program. So they eavesdrop everywhere. They have ears everywhere, and they do so through tech. But it turns out that they were also eavesdropping domestically without a warrant. Typically, if you eavesdrop on someone, generally you need a warrant. Turns out they were just doing it. He blew the whistle. He got caught on federal espionage charges. He fled to Russia. He has asylum in Russia. Now, what's interesting is that on Wednesday, the U.S. Court of Appeals, so typically in appeals court, let's say something is handed down, the appeals court generally reviews cases, and a lot of legal precedent is set through appeals court, right? So the Ninth Circuit Appeals Court said that the warrantless telephone dragnet that secretly collected millions of Americans' telephone records violated the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act and may have been unconstitutional. Now, this is pretty big, right? Because a lot of people, myself included, believe that Edward Snowden did the right thing by blowing the whistle. We should know if our government is eavesdropping on us. So currently, he is a wanted man, but he has asylum. And now the chatter is that could this be the first step of him being exonerated? Not necessarily exonerated. He hasn't been convicted of anything, but will the United States drop the charges against him? It'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting.
I like.
What do you guys think?
I think it's a big, huge win for like privacy in general, because it's just like this whole tech and just the way people are able to take our data without us knowing is like, it's still a very, very new thing, man. And it's just like, we have no idea the amount of data that's already been stolen. Like, there are so many data leaks throughout all these websites that it's ridiculous the amount of shit that our shit that's probably out there that we'll probably never know about. But just in general, bro, like companies like I'm hoping this leads to maybe stricter laws around like data privacy and things like that, because companies like Facebook and Google, Instagram, same shit as Facebook. Like, these motherfuckers are really stealing the shit out of our data and subtly manipulating us. And it's like, I think I'm hoping that in the future, in 10, 20 years, like we'll look back at the internet at this time in the internet and be like, what the fuck were we thinking? You know, like, why the fuck did we let this shit happen? Because this shit is a lot more serious. You know, some people are like, oh, that data doesn't matter, this and that. But it's just like, a lot of people don't realize how easy it is to manipulate us and shit like that, especially knowing, you know, the little things about us that can help sway our, you know, our opinions and stuff like that. So I like this, man. I'm glad this is a win. I hope he actually comes back, because if he comes back to the U.S., I think that's a much bigger deal, and I think that's a strong statement about, you know, us and privacy and shit like that.
It just reminds me. No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say shout outs to the ACLU, because they're the ones who helped bring this case to the forefront. So
big facts, big facts. And again, you guys need to watch. Have you guys seen the movie? The Snowden movie? The Snowden movie?
No, I haven't.
With Batman? With Robin, whatever?
Yeah, with Joseph Gordon-Levitt playing Snowden. It gives you a really good perspective, because it's not a really sensationalized movie. They just went straight with the facts, kind of like the Joe Paterno movie that HBO put out. It wasn't really about like, yo, sensationalism. Like, let's be flashy. Like, no, we're just going to go facts. This happened. Here's the date it happened. This happened. These are the transcripts. This happened. So, you know, I would definitely watch the movie if I were you guys. And also, this topic is important because I remember we mentioned in a few episodes ago about the importance of the checks and balances that the internet needs. Like, it's a great thing. It's a wonderful thing. The fact that you can like Google from your smartphone anything about everything at any given point in time. That's great. But if you're worried about your information like falling in the hands of some hacker in friggin' Massachusetts or whatever, that's also an issue. Or the government spying on you or whatnot. Like,
Yeah.
there needs to be regulations in place, not just for people in office, not just officials, elected officials, government officials and whatnot, but the average Joe, like the four of us. Like I shouldn't feel like every time I turn on my computer or I get into a chat room, like, yo, who the hell might be listening right now? Or is my social security number safe right now? Like, I don't know. These are the stuff that goes through my mind. I don't know about you guys, but this is stuff I think about.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's just a matter of being personally vigilant. Just like you lock your house, you have to be wary about, what you put out on the internet. Just what you do, things of that nature. So it's just a matter of just being prudent. It'll be interesting because I'm not sure if anything will come with this. I don't know if this is just symbolic or if this is like the first step in, a greater narrative. We'll see. We'll see. And it is interesting because this story kind of highlights that, like, when people say, oh, the U.S. government, well, the U.S. government isn't just one entity. It's like a collection of entities. So like the NSA is one entity and the Ninth Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals is another entity. And then there's sub-entities, things of that nature. It's not just one thing. It's different institutions that work together some of the time or work against each other. It's just an interesting story. And at the end of the day, I hope that history looks at Edward Snowden as like a hero because, man, that takes crazy fucking balls, bro, to say, yo, this is the greatest, this is possibly the strongest civilization in history. They have unlimited power to fuck my life up. You know what? I'm gonna just drop this. I'm just gonna drop this info real quick and see what happens. And it's crazy. The fact that he's still alive and fairly prosperous, right?
Yeah,
like, because I've seen interviews of him in Russia, and it's funny because even in his interviews, he's like says critical shit of the Russian government. And I'm pretty sure, like, if you weren't like a middle finger to the U.S., like, you'd be disappeared real quick. But like, it's just crazy how he doesn't compromise on who he is with that kind of pressure. Like, that takes some crazy courage. Crazy. Like, fuck my life. I'm down for this principle. I live for my principles.
I'm pretty sure some attempts have been made on his life. I mean, why do you think he fled the country? I mean, it's one thing to flee the state. Like, say you did a crime in California and then you're on the
well,
run.
he doesn't want to get locked up.
Like he left the country. So like, and again, the movie didn't sensationalize this. Like he said, like, yo, there were definitely cats out for me. And who knows if he would have ended up in Quantico or just would have been disappeared. You see what I'm saying? If he didn't know somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody for him to get to a plane and be out. Yeah. So like that's wild to me. So I'm with you on that. That's crazy. It's crazy.
That's crazy, bro. The extent that the government would go to like cover shit up or do themselves. Yeah, man. And if you need any more proof that, to some parts of the government, no lives matter, we can look we don't need to look no further than this article here.
This bullshit.
Oh, Daniel Crude.
Oh my God. Okay, so I saw this story a few days ago, and
same.
Here we go again. Here we go again. The definition.
Lay out the story.
Okay, so Daniel Prude, I think he was in his 40s, I believe. Black man in San Francisco. This actually took place in March, I believe. Probably like
March 23rd, and he passed away on March 30th.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he was his brother called the police saying, "Listen, my brother's acting strange. I need you guys to get over here because he's not himself right now." So
But wait, also point out that prior that he was also taken by the police on a prior time to a mental institution, in which he was just like released. So this is the second time, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
that's a key fact.
And I think that he also said that when he called the cops, he was like that his brother Joe is a danger to only himself and not to kill him. I think explicitly he explained. Well,
bagged,
I
bro.
believe he said that, but yeah.
I watched the entire 911 call. I mean, listen to the entire 911 call. I watched the entire body cam video. It's about 11 minutes long. And
So he sorry. No, I was gonna say my fault.
Finish.
Yeah, my fault. Finish. I think you were going in the same direction.
So he called the police, and then
He called the police. When the police arrived, he was butt naked in the middle of the street yelling, really erratic and wild. So immediately he complies with the police. They say, "Get down on your stomach, don't move, put your hands behind your back." He does everything. You know,
it was snowing too.
And it was snowing, and it was cold as hell. I mean, this is in San Francisco, global warming. So anyway,
no, this was in New
This is in
York.
Rochester.
This is in Rochester.
This is in Rochester.
Rochester.
He came from Chattown.
My fault. I got my locations mixed up. So yeah, this was
It happens everywhere.
Yeah.
This is upstate New York. So so he complies. The officer handcuffs him. He's sitting in the street, middle of the street. Cops have it blocked off, and they're trying to explain and ascertain knowledge is like of exactly his capacity. They're just like, listen, are you okay? We got a call from your brother that you're not feeling well, and he's yelling and yelling wild madness, saying in Jesus' name, I'm cold, I feel good. Look at my dick. This, that, and the third, just saying everything under the sun. Mind you, he's butt naked. So the cops immediately understand, okay, this guy is obviously on something. As the conversation escalates, he starts spitting. So one of the cops the cops are asking around, like, who has a spit bag or a spit guard? A spit guard is basically it's a breathable bag. You can put it over they put it over the head of individuals that are under the influence of hallucinogens or mentally have mental disorders or whatnot. They put it over so that way, if they do have an STD or whatnot, the cops don't get, spit in their face or sneeze on them or bite them, God forbid. So they put the spit guard over his head. All of a sudden he's just like, give me your gun, give me your gun, give me your gun. Mind you, he's handcuffed. So he's demanding one of the officers' gun, and he's handcuffed. The cops then move in on him, and they pin him first on his shoulder, then they pin him on his back, and they're just saying, "Listen, man, we need you to calm down. You got to calm down." When the cops puts their knee in his back to immobilize him, mind you, he's handcuffed. He continues to say, "Give me your gun. I want your gun right now. In Jesus' name. I want your name. I want your car. I want your gun. I want your gun." Then this is when it gets ridiculous, and this is when it goes completely left. One of the cops grabs this man's head and then puts his entire weight on his head like he's doing a push-up. They do like a back, like one of they show another body cam from another cop who was by the ambulance that definitely an ambulance showed up.
He started planking on his head.
He starts planking on this man's head. His legs are spread out. He's got his full force, his full weight on his head, pinning and mind you, his face is in the freaking asphalt. So they have him like this for about 2, 4, 5, X amount of number of minutes.
It was like 2 minutes and change.
About 2 minutes and change. He stops breathing. Then he starts like breathing like very sporadically, like a couple of seconds go by, then he'll take a breath. And then, because I'm watching his shoulders and his body this whole time, and I'm like, yo, is he moving? Is he moving? Then I'll see his arms move. He'll take a breath. And then eventually he just stops breathing altogether. So then they roll him over, and it was like, all right, man, you can get up now. No, he's not going to get up because you just put your whole fucking weight on his head and suffocated him. Mm-hmm. So they start doing chest compressions. One of the cops panics and realizes he's medic. We might need you over here. He's not moving. And they're trying to do chest compressions. And then one of the cops is just like, yeah, he probably, what usually happens with PCP, sometimes they overdose. You guys didn't do anything wrong. He probably just overdosed. You can see that in the body cam video. And I'm just like, he overdosed? Really? So the cop who had his full weight on his head and suffocated him, that had nothing to do with it. He just
they called it excited delirium.
Sprinkle crack on him.
But the way they spoke about it, bro, it was very like, oh, it's not that big a deal. It's just a homicide caused by complications of.
I don't mean to cut you off, but excited delirium is my bad. But excited delirium is a term that's often used by police forces. That's not in the DSM, by the way. Mm-hmm. So it's not a recognized So it's not a thing. It's not a recognized thing. Excited delirium is just it overlaps with a whole bunch of potential mental maladies, but I don't think it's a thing in the DSM. I will fact check, but I'm positive excited delirium is not an actual psychological state.
Yeah, the article said that too, that it's not really recognized as like a for real life thing. It honestly just seems like a bullshit ass excuse to be like, oh, this person was on drugs and they choked themselves out while I was following procedure.
Yeah.
That's just what it felt like.
They even showed in the video from that link, they show the actual report that that news outlet, I forget which that is, I think NBC or somewhere. They got the outlet, they got the actual report and showed a copy. They highlighted it and it said the cops followed protocol to a T. They they did everything by the book, yada yada yada. So then fast forward, the family comes out and was like, yo, like, we, of course, had a coroner do a full comprehensive autopsy, and they're just like, yeah, he died from asphyxiation. He was suffocated, like clear as day. Like there's no dispute about that. So then fast forward also, the mayor of Rochester says that she was misled by the chief of police. She said they've been doing their own investigation since March, and I think IA, Internal Affairs, they've been doing their investigation, and they've been feeding her basically lies. That's the way she made it seem inside in her press conference a few days ago, where she had said she had all 7 of the officers involved fired. But this is you can this is once again this is Rayshon Brooks-esque. This is clear as day, unnecessary use of force by the police. And again, them covering themselves, that blue wall of covering themselves, of saying, "Yeah, we did everything by the book. It's all like we got this. But the facts come out, and obviously they did not. And another man's
oh my bad.
I was gonna say there's just 2 main things that kind of irk me about this whole situation. Besides them dying, it's like they were kind of laughing and making jokes about the situation.
Yes, they were. Yes, they were.
It was cold as fuck outside, but mainly it was like the brother called because he needed help with somebody that had like a mental issue, and like I got the impression that was very, very clear when they made that call, and it goes back to not having proper training for dealing with people that have mental issues, right? But yeah, those are the kind of like the 2 points, because that kind of irked me, bro. That it's just like you can't even trust, right? Some situation like this happens, you expect to be able to call the cops for help, and like now, why would you call the cops? You could your boy, your brother, your sister, your cousin could end up fucking dead.
Yeah, what's wild even too is I was in education, just like Fab as well, and just like you, Jose, and I worked with special needs kids. So, and they were called it was called the Behavioral Disability or Disorder Program, or BD Kids. It was a designation. They changed the name of it to like the STAR program, which was great because a BD kid sounds so terrible. Yeah. So, but we're talking about kids from pre-K all the way to senior year of high school with that have a wide range of disorders that sometimes can turn violent toward themselves, violent toward staff, violent toward fellow students or whatnot. So they have to train us. It's called CPI training, which gives us the necessary training to safely de-escalate and safely restrain those children so that they don't hurt themselves, they don't hurt us, and they don't hurt their fellow classmates.
Yeah, and the restraint is less physical. Mm-hmm. It's so many de-escalation tips before you even physically have to put your hands on a person. And even in the restraint, it's to not have them, of course, hurt you, but still put them in a position that they can't harm themselves.
Yes. And this is the type of training, this is the type of staff and experts that need to be working hand in hand with law enforcement. Because how many instances year after year take place where the cops run up, they get a phone call like, listen, yo, my cousin, my brother, yo, they're out of it. You know what I mean? And sometimes they even preface like, listen, he's on the spectrum. You know what I mean? Like, so he's going through one of his episodes, but we need help right now because I can't handle this right now, and nobody else is home to help de-escalate this. We need you guys to come, not for you guys to come and to kill him. And immediately when I saw this immediately had me thinking about the naked white guy from a couple episodes ago, who actually killed killed 2 women and a baby, and he's running around this suburban neighborhood. You got 50 cops that are afraid to touch him. They're afraid to touch him.
Oh yeah, and he was naked.
They're afraid to touch him. One of them had a freaking assault rifle on him. He's running away from the dude, and they corner him in the woods. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say they just want to touch black bodies.
Yeah,
I guess they corner dude in the woods, and it takes 50 of them to take him down. You know, a triple homicide, bro.
Yeah,
but race has nothing to do with it. What am I thinking?
I mean, my whole thing is that I think in this particular case, I just think, like, I think it's very possible that, I mean, the EMTs seem like they did a shitty job not intervening because they're EMTs and they should know better. But whether the cops followed protocol, I think is irrelevant. I just think just the way they handled it, because who knows? He was high on PCP, and PCP is known to cause, you know, cardiac and respiratory events. So who knows? Maybe he would have died anyway. I don't think that's necessarily the point. I think the point's the way that they treated him. They just did so in a way that seemed pretty inhumane. You know, they could have just, you know, I mean, there's just so much more. They could have just put him in the car because it was cold. Just something simple like that. Something very simple like that. He obviously wasn't, you know, he didn't seem like he was talking crazy, but his actions didn't necessarily align. And, you know, there were several officers there. I think they could have at least put him in the squad car. I do think that the optics are bad because he was black.
Really
but
bad.
I think he could have been anyone and they would have handled it the same way. It just seems like, you know, their protocol is to control the situation, and whatever, that makes sense, right? But there's ways of going about it that takes a man's humanity in, you know, there's just a way of handling it that acknowledges that he's a human being. Like, at least put him in the car, you know, give him a blanket, give him something, you know. It's just sad, and this is definitely a lack of training, because I could easily see a cop being trained to handle a situation a certain way, and them thinking they're doing a good job, not realizing that this man is crazy and is also on PCP. So normally what you could do to a regular person, it's not going to affect him like it's going to affect the regular person, right? Maybe you could just restrain someone for 2 minutes like that and they'll be fine. Not necessarily someone who's high on PCP and has mental health issues and who knows what other health issues. So it's just poor. It's just a poor way of handling it, even if they did follow protocol. It's just sad. You can't justify it. You can't really justify it.
Nope.
Yeah, man, they're a fucking crew, bro. It's not like you get Superman strength when you take PCP. They could have definitely. They should have handled it.
Some people do. Some people turn to the Hulk when they got.
It was even wilder.
Turn to the Hulk.
It was even wilder because that same day when I saw this ridiculous story, there was body cam footage. This was from a couple of weeks or a couple months ago. A deer had wandered into somebody's backyard, which happens all the time, especially in suburbia, and fell into their pool. So they called the police. They didn't call animal control. They called the police. It's like, listen, there's a deer that's in our pool. Can you guys help us out? So 3 cops successfully got this deer out of the pool and back into the woods without harming the deer.
I thought they would kill the deer.
I thought the deer would have reached for a leaf or whatnot, or reached for an antler or something like that, and they would have just popped off. But no, they can de-escalate a 4-legged Bambi, but they can't a black man under the influence. I don't know.
Well, let's see how our boys up at Wisconsin handle situations like this.
Oh my God!
So this is
the big one. This is the big one.
This is the Kenosha incident. So basically, there are huge protests in Kenosha, Wisconsin. It was all precipitated by a Catos event. A gentleman by the name of Jacob Blake. I believe the facts are as follows: his girlfriend or supposed girlfriend called the police on him. He had a confrontation with the police. Apparently, they tased him, couldn't restrict him. He walked away. He opened the door of, I'm not even sure if it was his car, but he opened the door of a car, reached down. They shot him 7 times in the back, pretty much. And he's still alive. He's paralyzed, which is crazy how he survived getting.
That's madness. Madness.
That's crazy. Now, police allege that they shot him because they believe he was reaching for a weapon. The last time I read, I saw a video and stories that they did find a knife in the car. I don't necessarily think that's incriminating because lots of people carry knives in their cars. Whether he was reaching for it is anyone's guess. The video doesn't say anything. But this is what precipitated the protests. Now, protests were going hard. There was a lots of peaceful protesting, and there was also lots of vandalism as well. You know, the usual stuff.
The huge.
the huge. You know, when you have peaceful protesting, there's always agitators that'll take advantage. People who may or may not have any sort of political motivation, or they just want to fuck shit up, which is kind of understandable given the way situations, you know, how the world is right now. Not an excuse to fuck up private property, but, you know, that's basically what was happening. Here's the big story. A 17-year-old named Kyle Rittenhouse. So he lives in Antioch, Illinois, which is 20 minutes from Kenosha, Wisconsin. He crossed state lines, but, you know, it's only 20 minutes away. He went there to protect private property. Initial story said that he crossed state lines with an AR-15. Turns out that wasn't the case. He was actually given an AR-15 when he arrived. And essentially what happened, there are a few videos of him being interviewed by several, I wouldn't know if I would call them news outlets, but they were like online people, interviews. He described himself as him just being there to protect property and to provide EMT medical support. So there's videos of him asking people if they need medical, things of that nature. So long story short, he got in a confrontation with protesters. The video is limited, but the first video that I saw shows one person chasing him into a parking lot and throwing what appears to be a bottle at him. The person who was chasing Kyle Rittenhouse got closer to him. Kyle ended up shooting him in the head. And then after he shot him in the head, he just sort of stays there. Someone comes, people come. They start to
He makes a call.
He makes a call. He does.
Hmm?
He makes a call.
Oh, yeah,
He runs towards the person that he shot.
Yes, and then he does
makes a
make a call.
Mhm.
He does make a call, and then people start swarming around him, and then basically he gets the fuck out of there. Eventually, people start chasing him, and long story short, he trips. People start to attack him. One person comes and does sort of like I don't even know what to call it, like a WWE stomp. You know, he does like a road dog stomp or something like that. Yeah, right. He discharges the weapon at one assailant. Another assailant comes with a skateboard, appears to try to hit him. He discharges another shot. Also, there are people trying to take his AR-15. When it's all said and done, 2 people are dead, and I think another person was injured.
Yeah, shot in the arm. Shot in the arm.
Shot in the arm. And it is worth noting that the person who, the guy who got shot in the arm had a handgun as well.
Yes, he did.
So this is a clusterfuck of a situation.
It absolutely is. And
Call of Duty.
what was that, Fab?
I said it's Call of
Yeah,
Duty.
and I don't even know. I recommend anyone watching this to actually watch the video because I don't even know if my description did it justice. But essentially, the big.
I want to add 2 things because it started at the he was protecting a gas station. The gas
Yes.
station.
Well, no,
he doesn't.
Well, that was. Well, no, he was there. There's a video, an extensive, comprehensive video that I watched on YouTube. I probably should have shared it to the portal. Where this guy, he found a whole bunch of video of him before all this happened. Like this dude tracking down, and he was basically like, yeah. And some of it was in the video that we did see in the portal. It said that, yo, I'm just here to protect property and to
that's what I was talking about.
Yeah, to give medical assistance or whatnot. You can even see him walking up to people. Hey, does anybody need medical? And he actually almost got into an altercation with somebody while he was doing that. Like this.
I think that's.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, because I just wanted to point out the fact that he was there and he was protecting property that is not.
And
his
he's 17.
property.
Did I mention that he's 17?
Yeah, you did.
He's 17, and that's the
did.
thing, my man. 17-year-olds are stupid, bro. But whatever.
Yeah.
He was protecting something that is not his. I don't even think he knew whose ever gas station it was. There was somebody that was an older gentleman who was like just right off the jump early on in the video, just like threatening him and shit like that. I think that's the guy that ended up getting shot.
That's the first guy he shot.
When he dipped, you could hear in the back somebody saying, "Yo, he shot somebody, get him." And then that's when people started swarming after him and shit like that.
Well, there's a lot of layers to this. One big layer. I knew this before I even found this out. I was like, yo, I guarantee you this guy's a Trump supporter. I can stake everything in my bank accounts that he's a Trump supporter. He went. Go ahead.
My fault before you go, because I think there's one detail. So after he gets up, after he shoots the people, he runs towards the cops. And he lives.
He actually
just
walks.
So you know, you walk.
Yeah,
I think that's just the last detail I wanted to mention.
Also,
I feel like that's
hold on. The most important part is that he ended up getting charged with 6 different charges. Some of those include murder, reckless endangerment, etc. So he's facing some pretty fucking serious charges. So I guess the major thing around this is there's a lot of layers to this, like you guys said, but the main debate around this is what he did self-defense or is what he did murder?
I mean, I want to jump back.
That wasn't our main debate.
I mean, I want to jump back in because back to my Trump point this is a lot. I'm not going to generalize. This is something I never try to do. I try to just go off of fact. A lot of Trump supporters are emboldened by the vision that, listen, we're protecting America. We're protecting America from threat from Marxist, BLM, Antifa, yada yada yada. People that want to destroy our freedoms and destroy our country, and we're not going to wear masks, and we're gonna stop looters. We're gonna stop rioters. So go back a couple months. This guy was front and center in Iowa, again, a state he's not from, front and center at a Trump rally in Iowa, just taking in all the Trump crazy nonsense. So he has all this fed into his mind already. This guy was in the cadet program, so he was on the road to becoming a police officer. Don't get it twisted. If this didn't happen a year or two from now, when he was of legal age and enough and completed the program, this guy would be a police officer. Matter of fact. So what I'm saying is, I knew that before I even found out that I knew that. I was like, I guarantee you this guy's a Trump guy. And again, it was reaffirmed by the video because he's like, yeah, I'm here to protect property. I'm here. First of all, it's not your state. Like Fab mentioned, it's not your property. It's not. That's not your gas station. It's not your building. You're not even from there. But he has that crazy cult belief.
He's the Winter Soldier.
Yes.
Well, here's the thing about that argument, though.
He's a wannabe cop soldier. That's what he is.
Here's the thing about that argument, though. You're saying he's not from there, but
no, he's not. He's not from that state.
I know, but the guys that he ended up shooting and a lot of the protesters weren't from there and actually lived farther from the spot than he was. So anyone would say that, I don't know. Some people would say that's not relevant whether he's from there or not. I don't know. I'm not saying that I agree with that.
Would you say that?
It depends. It depends because and I'm not condoning what he did because he should have never fucking been there. Like that's off rip. He should have never been there. He's a 17-year-old, It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? His mom said no.
Absolutely.
And went to sleep. So
absolutely. Shout out to Fox 5.
Yeah. He should have never been there. But I mean, with that line of thinking, it's like I don't know, because if you believe that you feel it necessary to protest and to be there or to do whatever business from a place you're not from, you can make the argument that he's just as justified if he feels that private property should be protected. It doesn't necessarily have to be his for him to want to protect. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying that it's invalid, but I'm just saying both sides could use that argument. Well, oh yeah, well, the protesters aren't from there either. What are they doing there? You know, like, I
know that, and when Trump was elected in 2016, me and a lot of people who I were talking about just his speech, just the way he talks, just his speeches, who his audience, who his base is. I was like, this guy's going to get a lot of people killed, because what he does is like a pep rally supposed to do. What at Penn State, day before on Friday nights before games, we have a pep rally. Like, yo, we're going to beat the hell out of Ohio State. We're going to beat the hell out of Iowa or Michigan or whoever, or Michigan State. We're going to beat the hell out of them. Yeah. Make sure you show up to the game. Make sure you wear white. Make sure you show up into the game, yada, yada. This guy at his rallies, time and time again, and I have yet to be able to sit through one, because I've tried to understand, what does dudes do? But I get it. But this guy's speech embodies and it motivates and freaking gives justification in the minds of his followers, his minions, as I call them, to be like, you know what? I'm not from that state. I'm not from that town, but that's America. So as an American, I need to go there and protect that American property. You know what I mean? Because and also that's the enemy. That's the domestic enemy. You know, so I've got to go there, and I've got to keep America great. You know what I mean? And what does that do? This kid's life is ruined. The two people he killed, whether self-defense or not, that'll be sorted out in the court of law. So I'm with you on that, because I watched the video where the lawyer broke down exactly what happened, and it was actually a really good video. It's a really good video of breaking down exactly, just from a legal standpoint, what took place. You know what I mean? And I encourage. And I don't know if you guys didn't watch it, but I watched it. I watched the entire thing.
Oh, you mean the Colin Noir one?
Yes. That was a really good video.
Yeah, it was a good video about breaking it down. I do know that, just knowing him and his previous work, he's. I don't think he was biased in this video, but I do know that he does have like pro-gun bias. Like he would definitely be biased towards someone defending himself with a gun, because he
had a T-shirt with a freaking
he's like a gun guy. But like, based on the video, right? Because when it comes to the question of whether it's self-defense, right? I don't think any of us disagree that he shouldn't have been there, right? He definitely shouldn't have been there. You could also make the argument that the people destroying property shouldn't have been there. So there's a whole bunch of people who just shouldn't have been there, right? And curfew notwithstanding, right? Because people say, oh yeah, it was curfew. Well, I'm not necessarily, if you're there to protest the government and they institute a curfew, I don't think it's the responsibility of the protesters to respect that curfew if you're protesting the government. So I think that's like a non-issue. Right. But just given the situation, because like, regardless of the fact that none of them should be there, it happened. So given what's happened, what is your opinion of what happened? Do you think it was self-defense or murder? Just based on what you've seen and just based on your opinion. Me personally, I think that's very clearly self-defense. That's me personally.
Okay. So well,
I agree.
I've got two responses to that. I'm leaning toward your assessment that is self-defense from what I've seen. Because I'm with you.
Because we don't know what happened before. That's the thing.
Exactly.
By the way, we don't know what happened before, because we can only base it because something could come out tomorrow and be like, oh wow, we have this other video where like he was doing X, Y, and Z, right? You know, who knows? But just based on what I saw and based on everything I've read, and I've tried to read from multiple sources, it seems a very clear case of self-defense, even though he had no fucking business being there.
No, I agree with you on that point. I'm leaning more toward that direction. What I am going to say, though, in addition to that, is I feel like the police chief the next day, his comments, because I'm pretty sure everybody saw it, where he was just like, well, everybody was, we had a bunch of kids that were out there past curfew, and one of them decided to, engage with an assault rifle. I feel like the police chief did a very shitty job of explaining what happened, because he kind of gave him a cop out right then and there. He kind of made an excuse for him, and Trump did the same thing. But I expected Trump to do it because you're not going to denounce one of your minions. You're not going to denounce one of the members of your base. Like you're not going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't expect him to do that. So I'm with you in that regard. But again, it goes back. This instance goes right back to Trump because he would have never been emboldened to break the law by illegally obtaining that assault rifle, because that's another fact that has been omitted from a lot of people.
Well, its legality is the legality is in question.
It's one of his It's one of the charge. I'm just going off one of the charges.
Yeah, but I'm just saying the legality is in question because technically, so Wisconsin's an open carry state, and you're not supposed to be able to open carry if you're under 18. Mm-hmm. He's 17. Yes. However, there's an exception for anyone between 16 and 17 that doesn't apply to long guns. I think it applies to like short barrel shotguns and another type of gun.
Yeah.
And if you have a certain, if you have like, I believe if you have like a certain certificate, right, and it's primarily like for hunting. Now, more than likely, it was. Well, I can't say more than likely. I don't know the laws, but it's it's murky. It's in question.
Yeah, well, again, I'm going off of one of the charges of a minor illegally obtaining an assault rifle. So I'm going off of that. That instance, again, would not have been emboldened in this kid's mind if he wasn't a Trump supporter. It always goes back to him.
I don't think we can say that.
Right? Like,
I don't know, bro.
Yo, my man, he's 17. 17-year-olds don't have personalities, bro. They're really just taking up. They're just picking up whatever everybody around them is telling them they should pick up. The people who gave him the gun should definitely be
absolutely.
And then the people that attacked are fucking stupid. Everybody fucked up from all angles. He shouldn't have been there. His parents should have been on top of what he was doing. He should have never been given that gun.
Yes,
and you know what? The protesters, they're fucking idiots. Yeah. How the fuck do you go up to somebody with a gun?
With an AR.
With no gun. With the fucking
one of them did. One of them did.
What the fuck?
One of them went up to him with a gun.
Well, the other people went barehanded and one with the fucking skateboard and somebody with a gun. Come on, bro. They fucking stupid, yo. What the fuck they thought was gonna happen? But you think this is a video game, bro? Like, it's not chip damage, bro. You get shot. That shit is a one hit kill.
Well, here's my thing. I agree with Ugo, the fact that Trump is definitely emboldened people for sure. I can't make the specific claim that this kid was specifically emboldened by him because he might have done something like that anyway. Because you have to remember, it's like, Trump is emboldening people, but like a lot of people who are, especially when you're in more conservative areas of the country, like this is like life, like that sort of mentality where like protecting property, having weapons, things like that, that's already a thing. So I can't make the specific claim that, because because he likes Trump, he did this. He might have done it anyway, but that's my only thought.
I just go off of the facts and the optics. And with him, the fact that he was front and center, mind you, in a state that he wasn't from again. This guy loves going to places where he's not from. Front and center at an Iowa rally for Trump. And I just know that he was just sitting there just dialed in. Like, this guy's talking my language. My cult leader is speaking to me, and if ever given the opportunity, I have to do it. And he's the fucking president of the United States. So he's like, I this is my duty, and he does it though. He does. He carries through with it, and his life is ruined after this. Even if he gets acquitted, even if he just gets off with just the gun charge and the misdemeanors, this guy's life is over. It is.
I think that maybe not. Like, I think I actually do think. Again, I'm not a lawyer, and this is my very non-expert opinion. but I can't see him catching a murder charge. Like I can't see him catch.
He might get a manslaughter charge. I see manslaughter.
I can't even see him getting a manslaughter charge. Like that was
I could see that.
I can see maybe reckless endangerment. Maybe like if the law shows that he wasn't supposed to have a gun, maybe he'll catch that. I think it's like a misdemeanor out there. I think he'll get that, but his life being destroyed, I don't know, bro. Like there are people who are definitely, probably, clearly scumbags like George Zimmerman. I mean, he's depressed or whatever, but I don't know. He was doing pretty okay, right? So we have actual scumbags, right? Who knows? Like I have a feeling he'll be embraced by a certain part of the country, especially
probably
if his areas in conservative. I think he'll definitely be, he'll be like, and actually, you know what? I don't disagree with you. His life might suck because I think, I don't know this about him, but he doesn't strike me as like a malicious, I went out to want to kill people type of person. I think regardless of what happens, this is going to haunt him, right? And even if people around him, hold his hand up, show him all this respect, you're a hero, X, Y, and Z, he's going to have to feel like, I have a feeling he's just going to feel like shit regardless. Like,
wow.
Yeah, the PTSD.
Yeah, man.
Like, and we're talking and trained soldiers for battle. They go through it.
He needs a therapist ASAP. Yeah. He needs a lawyer. He needs a good ass lawyer, and he needs a therapist. That's what he needs.
Like when you're
and he needs to disappear.
when you're a wannabe cop soldier, these are the consequences.
It's crazy.
So, he deserves everything he's about to get, man. I don't feel bad for him. I don't.
I'm glad that we all read everything, because at first, like my facts are murky. Because reading different sources, like I actually spoke about it on the episode that wasn't released, and I was kind of right, but I mentioned some things that were like incorrect. So it's like it's good that we go through the sources and just make sure we're like,
Yeah, because when the story broke, they made it seem like he was out here like a mass shooter.
It depends. Everywhere
like the
was
Joker,
different.
yo, chaos.
I got some Joker shit. I was like,
well, yeah, like if you read like shit, like I don't even know, like HuffPost and like left leaning shit, like mass shooter, alt right, blah 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 blah. Like you read
Boogaloo. He was a Boogaloo member.
Yeah, exactly. You read like Fox News, this fucking hero, like this, this, that, and the third. Where really it was just a bunch of idiots.
Facts.
It was just a bunch of
humanity
idiots
shot itself in the
who got in a stupid situation, who got in a dumb situation. It's sad.
Rushing somebody with an AR is crazy, bro.
It is.
Like what? Like, yo, bro, that's some zombie shit.
In video games, in fucking real life, in
animation.
With an AR is crazy.
Yo, if you rush someone with a firearm, bro, you better be ready for those fucking, I don't even know.
You're not Neo, bro. Even Neo didn't rush.
Like you better be yo, bro. You better be ready. You better be ready for those martyrs, bro. Like
I don't understand.
You better be ready to be a martyr real quick.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Shout out to that former military officer. I forgot dude's name. Remember, he disarmed the guy with an assault rifle at a Waffle House a couple of years ago, and he lived to tell about it.
That's a funny situation.
Yeah.
Like
it was at a Waffle House.
I'm gonna shoot up a Waffle House.
I love pancakes,
bro. Like and rest in peace,
cash only, bro.
Rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. Like he's terrible. Rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman, because the guy who did it, whatever. Like Boseman was getting an award for, I think, an MTV Movie Award for like best hero, and that dude was in attendance. And Chadwick gave his award to that dude. He's like, listen, I just played a superhero in Marvel. Like,
he's a hero.
That's dope.
Yeah, like this dude was just like, yo, it's either me or him. And he even said it when they interviewed him afterward. He's like, yo, they were just like, yo, what made you freaking struggle with a guy with an assault rifle? He's like, yo, he's about to shoot up the Waffle House. Like, I was like, I
was gonna die anyway.
Yeah, he's like, I can't let that. I was like, I can't let that slide, man. I need these hotcakes. So
Yo, I mean, that's what they tell you. They tell
I ain't get
you.
my bill yet, bro. I gotta get my bill. I had to.
I mean, that's what they tell you. If you have an active shooter and you can't retreat, fucking fight for your life.
Yeah.
Bum rush them because you're gonna get shot anyway.
Facts.
More than likely.
Yeah, you know.
And that's when we introduce Crypto Life, because you got to get your samba. Now I'm playing. You got to get your samba up so you can this on now.
Oh man.
Rest in
Oh
peace.
no. Fuck
and,
that.
and rest in peace to the two victims of that shooting, man.
Definitely.
Yeah, skateboard guy and a dude in a
Yeah,
dude in a
yo,
parking lot.
I'm looking at Jose's face, and he doesn't. He's like, yo, fuck these people. He's like, yo, I just see his face. He's like,
He's like, yo, this stuff happens in Mexico all the time, man.
Oh wow.
Who's from Mexico? And that's the base.
That's the rundown.
that's funny.
Who the fuck's in Mexico?